Wow. So, you know when you do something and you're like, you do something and you're like, why the fuck did it take me so long to think about it? Like, sometimes I have to reread stuff and do it again and again. Good. What up, brother? I have to read stuff again and again and again and again and again in order to maybe not understand it as much, but like why the fuck am I overthinking this? I couldn't get SSH to work on something, and I'm like having a stroke. Over SSH. So I set this up in an LXC container. LXC containers are pretty cool. Their minimal footprint is nice. Maybe I'm mispronouncing it, but that's not the point. The point is, now obviously this isn't going to be a actual guard relay this isn't going to be an actual guard relay setup, because this might in potential de-anonymize people, and it wouldn't be smart. I don't know what information you can see, so keep that in mind. I don't think it can actually like show anything. I'm not too like worried, but also like I'm gonna just redo it in a different way. So first I want to make sure that I am connected to the network, and I am. Beautiful. Then we're going to go back to, where is it? We're going to go back to, the thing. So you want to make sure you have automatic software updates for your operating system and keep it as secure as possible. But first you want to do update. When you're in an LXC container, it is root automatically, so if you ever want to do this, update, upgrade. Oh. Guess you can't. That's whatever. Just update your system, because that's what's really important. Bro, do you have any conflicts using Orbot or Tor browser together on Androids? I don't think I would do that. I don't think you should do that. I think there's something called a double like Tor routing issue that can de-anonymize you. This is why you shouldn't run there for a long time. That you shouldn't run have no on Tails, because it would run Tor twice or something. It would start Tor twice, and it would cause a privacy concern and conflict issue, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, like I said, the Tor Foundation has their own VPN now. No, I don't want to use that word. It's not. They have their own Orbot. They have their own version of Orbot. I haven't touched Orbot in a very long time. No offense to it. It's not that it's bad or anything. It was just I had more issues than good. So after you update your LXC container, running a Tor relay is important. So we're gonna go over to a slide real quick. Not really a slide, but more of a notepad. Doesn't really matter. Oh no, it's still here. Uh-oh, that means they can leak this back to me. Don't care. So most importantly, why should you? Well, first off, what is a Tor relay? Why should you run a Tor relay? Gonna run an exit node, bruh? No, I would never run an exit node for a lot of reasons, and I was actually about to get into that. That's kind of funny. Why you should run a Tor relay? More or less a guard, and I believe the other word for it is a middle. Guard and middle relay, entry node or something. Middle and guard relay. I think they're the same. They might be similar. They might be the same thing. You're just pretty much going to choose your platform / There's too many legal issues with if you're going to run a guard an exit node. First, you would have to. There's a way you can do it. It's just that's not the point. So why you shouldn't run a exit node, but you can't with huge quotation marks. There's a reason why you should, and there's a reason why you shouldn't. If you want to, you're more than welcome to, and it does help decentralize the network, and there is generally no problem. But we first got to understand how Tor's relays work. So the Tor network relies on volunteers to pretty much donate bandwidth. The more people who run relays, the better the Tor network will be. There are some caveats with that. I mean, the federal government runs a ton of relays, like actually a lot. And because they do, you could potentially de-anonymize yourself if you are doing anything nefarious or if you're throwing off any signals, etc., etc. I mean, unlimited money and unlimited time allow pretty much you to make only one mistake. But the federal government could take millions, or adversaries or hackers or whatever. I mean, this isn't like XYZ, but the point is you have a few options. You can run Snowflake in your browser if you want to. It allows you to help decentralize and help circumvent censorship in your browser. It doesn't affect performance. I believe it's endorsed by the Tor Foundation as well. They do correlation attacks with all their which they have achieved before. I believe. I think they have. This is something that can be kind of fixed with a simple solution. More people run nodes and exit node. More people run exit nodes. More people run relays. More people. I mean, obviously, it takes a lot of time and money to do that for them to be successful. But you have to remember, federal governments have unlimited money and time. So that is something to also in consideration. But what should the average person worry about? The average person that runs an exit node should only really worry about a few things. Not setting it up properly, not maintaining it, not securing it. So you are putting other people at risk if you are doing that. I believe you see a lot of. I think you're the. We're gonna look at it. I'm pretty sure the exit relay can see all the traffic, and because they can see all the traffic, that you are entrusting the node relay operator, the exit node operator, to not be malicious And on top of it, it's you get a lot of DMCA strikes, from what I understand. Like, you're the first person to get a strike or a knock on the door from any federal agency or anything if you're running an exit relay, because of it's you're the last stop. So if somebody does something incredibly nasty on the internet and they leak it back to you owning that relay, that would be a problem. So you have to remember that. KY, not me. This is a really good site where you can find VPSs that accept Monero or Bitcoin. Small Tor-friendly, private-oriented VPS provider. There's Cockbox. There's Njala or Nala, if I'm mispronouncing it. You have to remember these are incognite. Got some. Looks like they got KYC the unauthorized request. Wait, what site is this? That KYC not me is a great site. I'll give you the link. They also have a Tor friendly site as well. It's probably my favorite site. I tell everyone about it that wants to be able to find stuff that align with maybe their values. And this is they do a score on stuff that is KYC. Like, what level of KYC? High to low. Like, what's their level of trust? There's et cetera, et cetera. So that's something to keep in mind. But these scores are, from probably from experience, et cetera, et cetera. I've used a couple of them before I even used KYC.me. I just think it's a very invaluable site. I love it. I use it all the time. I use it all the time to find stuff that I would like to try out. Now, there were some services that I did try out and I did not like, but I moved on. But I also read the, TOS, what's people's experience, et cetera, et cetera. There's even a way to get eSIM. There was one I did use. We'll look at that later, though. There's Cockbox. You can do Cockbox. Their trust is pretty low. Offers account required, no JavaScript needed, which is kind of based. Creating an account for this, it's unreal about how it is. Freaking outages in like 2 fucking months. Nobody will reply, and they will still take your money. Avoid that like the plague. Other people are like, oh, it's great. Really happy with Cockbox so far. No KYC. Etc. Etc. So I haven't really necessarily had a problem. So you could go here if you wanted to do an exit relay. You have to keep bandwidth within mind. You have to keep bandwidth within your mind. In perspective, because you want to make sure that you aren't going over like your bandwidth. So bandwidth unlimited. Not bad. You could probably do it on the $15 a month. Sold out. So for $15 a month, fair use bandage, SDC cached, VPS Romania. So for $30, you could get. This is a little overkill for a Tor exit node, but fair use bandwidth, 4 terabytes, 1 terabyte, HHD. So keep it in mind. They'll probably come in and out. Which I don't know what they mean by fair use bandwidth. Exit nodes probably use a ton. I ran an exit node, not an exit node. I just ran a guard relay, and that takes up like a good amount of bandwidth. And I also run I ran a I2P relay. Not really a relay, but like I kept my I2P server. I keep my I2P server pretty much on 24/7 and give as much bandwidth as possible. But back to the correlation. So the Tor network relies on volunteers to donate bandwidth. The more people that run relays, the better the Tor network is. types of relays on the Tor network. We're going to running a relay. It requires technical skill and commitment, which is why we've created a wealth of resources for our relay operators. I would say it's not a huge technical requirement, just a few commands, but you have to remember to keep your server updated and remember to keep it as efficient as possible, because some people might rely on this from a security standpoint. So, example, all types of relays are important, but there are different technical requirements and potential legal implications. Understanding the different kind of relays is the first step into learning which one is right for you. This is where we're going to get into like the legal jargon. Remember, I am not a lawyer. I am not your lawyer. I don't reside in your country, so you have to make your own decision for yourself. Example of a Tor circuit: Tor user, guard relay, middle relay, exit relay. So there is a difference between a guard and I always ran a guard then. Middle and then exit and then destination, iexample.com. When using a bridge, Tor user, bridge, this is to help with some form of censorship. Middle relay, exit relay, destination. This is generally when Tor is blocked. And when Tor is blocked, it sometimes runs into issues. So you would do like, what do you call it? It's the word I'm looking for. You would do a bridge. If your ISP or like public Wi-Fi is blocking you from using Tor. So you have your guard and middle relays, also known as non-exit relays. The guard relay is the first relay hop in a Tor circuit. A middle relay is a relay that acts as the second hop in the Tor circuit. To become a guard relay, the relay has to be stable and fast, at least 2 megabytes of upstream and downstream band. Otherwise, it will remain a middle relay. I mean, 2 megabytes per second is pretty small amount of bandwidth needed. The guard and middle relays usually do not receive abuse complaints. However, all relays are listed on the public Tor relay directory, and as a result, they may be blocked by certain services. These services include either misunderstanding how the Tor works or deliberately want to censor Tor users, for example, online banking and streaming services. What's the point of these streams? Dude, you're on a spaz out. Cool. The stream is so that I can, after I fuck your mom, she unfortunately tells me to go do something else with my time, so I start streaming, actually. I'm glad you understand that I'm reading, but there are lots of things. You had some good videos before. That's cool. I still have great videos, and you're the one that's wasting your time here, not me. So you just like how you're allowed to enter the stream, you're allowed to exit the stream as well. But I digress. What's up, the Icon 2020? The Graphene OS videos in the beginning. Okay. You're more than welcome to go rewatch them, brother. You don't have to be here. No one forces you to be on any stream. It's your choice. You have free will. So, pretty much that is what a middle relay is. And then a guard and middle relays usually do not receive abuse compliance. Non-exit Tor relay requires minimal maintenance and efforts from bandwidth usage and can be highly customized in the Tor configuration. They are so-called exit policies. The relays decide if the relay allowing clients to exit or not, and a non-exit relay does not allow the exiting into its exit policy. Important, if you're running a relay from home with a single static IP address, there are concerns of your IP being blocked by certain online services. Consider running a bridge or a Tor Snowflake proxy. This is pretty cool. If you don't want to set this all up, again, you can set this up in your browser. Very easy. Snowflake's pretty awesome. It pretty much helps. You can do it standalone, but you can do it also in the browser. I've ran a Snowflake proxy myself. It's pretty awesome. So here is the exit relay. The exit relay is kind of like one of the more important ones because it can get the most abuse and complaints. The exit relay is a final relay in the Tor circuit that sends the traffic out to its destination. The service of the Tor clients are connecting to websites, chat service, email providers, will see the IP address of the exit relay instead of the real IP address of the Tor user. So your IP address will be exposed to the internet, and being exposed to the internet kind of essentially makes it really difficult to run if you live in a country where you can get some big uh-ohs, like a DMCA notice. Any abuse complaints about X and O's will directly go to you via your hosting provider, depending on the whois records. Generally, most complaints can be handled pretty easily through template letters. Because of the legal exposure that comes with running an exit relay, you should not run a Tor exit relay from your home at all. And ideal exit relay operators are affiliated with some institutions like a relay association, a university, a library, a hackerspace, or a privacy-related organization. And the institution can not only provide greater bandwidth for the exit, but better position to handle abuse complaints, or rare law enforcement inquiries. So that's something to also keep in mind as well. So then there's the bridge. The bridge is designed the Tor network to means that IP addresses of Tor relays, guard, middle, exit are public. However, one of the ways Tor can be blocked by governments is ISPs, is by blacklisting the IP address of these public relays. That is very common. So that's pretty much what a relay is. Why you shouldn't run an exit node, pretty much, in the most simple, is legal complaints. And DMCA strikes, pretty much. Don't do it at your house. So why you should run it: helps the network, and that's pretty much it. That's all you need. It pretty much helps the network. That's the whole important part. You could say it provides freedom. You can do all the whatever goo goo gaga bullshit that you want, but in reality is you do this because it helps the network. That's all it is. So once you get where is it? Okay. Once you do this, I'm connected to the internet. I am connected on the internet, and I know what I want to run. So we're going to be on, say you're on Debian. First, you're going to configure the Tor project's package repository for Debian, and the documentation is pretty easy to understand. You're going to do sudo. First, you're going to do sudo. Oh, there's no sudo. Sudo dpkg architecture AMD4, and then we're going to install some packages. ATP transport. Oh. Damn, I can't spell today. After you do that, you're going to create a new file in the etc app source list D named Tor sources. Is that? No, where did it go? Oh, there we go. One external. Okay, we're gonna do. Nano. Yep. D called Tor source, and then we're gonna put that there. Just got to get this. So we're going to replace our distribution with OSB. Oh, okay, I can check etc OS release. Oh, Trixie. That's what it is. Damn, forgot the E. Two X speed to catch up. Triple X speed, man. Replace GPU with their operating system's codename. Blah blah blah. Okay, we need to apt install GNUPG. And then we're gonna get this with the wget. There we go. Install Tor deb Tor projects. .org. /keyring. Ooh, forgot. Maybe I don't do that. Might not need that. Are you running OS hardening scripts? No. We're setting up a Tor relay. All right. Okay, so that is done. Ensure your packages. Okay, Tor is installed, so put the configuration file in etc tor.c in place. So we're gonna do nano etc etc tor cc nickname. So we can get this. Change my so you like. We're gonna do big fed relay. Email big balls at cock.il. You might use a different port. You should want to. And then it's I think we can keep it 0 exit relay and socks privacy. Final notes if you're something like the help section of relay is now running. Check out the post install notes. No, not that. Oopsies. Save. Exit. And then you can just do a do this. And it's running. You might want to specify IPv6 only or set exploit address. I think I saw that before and it didn't fucking matter. Yelling emoji. And that's pretty much all you gotta do. It's very easy. You can verify the relay if it works. With a self-testing indicates your or our port is reachable from the outside. If your log file syslog contains the following entry after starting your daemon, you should be up and running as expected. Self-test indicates your after about 3 hours after you restart relay, it should appear on relay search. Oh, and to make sure all your connections too, so relays can. If you're using a firewall, open a hole in your firewall so incoming connections can reach your ports for use for your relay. So you would open up your OR port to like whatever port you're using. You don't have to generally ever do this with Tor when you're running a service because it breaks through the firewall proxies itself. But you can find the specific OR port TC ports in the setup page. And then self-testing indicates your OR port is reachable from the outside. After about 3 hours after you start your relay, it should appear that on relay search. You would essentially open up the port on your router, any router that you want, and you would make sure, I would put this on a VLAN with some good network policy, like some ACL policies, and ensure that it cannot be reachable into your internal network on very private, I would say, secure services. You could do a firewall, but firewall isn't necessarily the most secure option out there. It's better to understand like how to route traffic and block stuff on the lower level in perspective. Like most consumer routers don't really have these kind of options, but you know, if you have a nice router and you can control, like you can do all these routing policies, that would further lock down the service itself to make sure that if anything did infect it or anything, it's not going to bleed into your internal network. We see a data breach and a vulnerability in a CVE like every 3 days. So that's pretty much how you set up a Tor relay. And you know, you can just go to Tor's documentation. It's pretty easy to understand and set up. I recommend people do it. It's pretty awesome and pretty based. It helps decentralize the network, and most importantly, it keeps most people, if not the majority of people, in a better position to help others expand Tor's ever-growing problem of federal agencies controlling a big chunk of the network. If you can't do it on your home server, just take the beautiful currency Monero and then go purchase a server. A VPS with good unlimited bandwidth that is Tor friendly, that does not care about DMCA strikes, does not care about it, anything in perspective, and that's what I would do. So, by the way, back to the intranet box that I got working. I removed Portainer because I thought it was a little thick, a little clunky, and I was like, man, I got to think of something else. So I think I'm going to vibe code once I get a more localized vibe coding setup on my PC that's a lot more beefier. I will maybe vibe code my way into recreating the pirate box in this section, or I'm going to go with my original plan of setting up a service that where you don't really need an internet connection in order for these to work. I'm going to get archive box set up. So first, I kind of thought about like, what do people care about? How do people want to kind of like connect to stuff without the ability to access stuff outside of the internet, especially with digital ID becoming a problem. I mean, look at what Australia did. If you were on the last stream, not a fun time. For people that live in countries where they are forcing this. And my problem isn't the premise of a digital ID in the sense that it's coming with malice or anything. I just don't trust the government to be able to handle this sensitive data and not leak it anywhere, where it's going to get leaked out into the open and it's going to essentially be in the wrong hands. I would rather take that sovereign approach myself and ensure my own security, just like how you should ensure your own security yourself as well. So there's Navdrome. Navdrome is set up. It's pretty awesome. I think you should set up your own Git repository so you could literally set up your own repos for your own code. New repository. Good repository names are short, memorable. You can do big balls. Admin one. Description, license. You could do whatever you want. License, my favorite. I wonder if they have it. Do. Oh, what? They don't have a do whatever the fuck you want license. So the next best would be like an MIT license. README, default branch, so you can create your own repositories and do everything local, and then you can explore, obviously, users' repositories, but they don't really exist because this is all local. And then we're going to look into, where is it? Right here. This is the offline NAS. So we're going to set up archive box. Don't do it at your house, remember. And I believe that self-hosting isn't really that hard. It's not super expensive either when you have the means to do this kind of stuff. You have to remember that self-hosting gives you some form of digital sovereignty, and I hope more and more people do it. They don't, but the first problem is don't overcomplicate your self-hosting journey. Don't install these esoteric, overcomplicated solutions. Make it simple. Keep it simple and keep it concise. That's all you need to do. If you keep everything simple, then you're not going to be in forums asking 30 different questions on how to fix a problem that you created yourself. I think it's cool to create problems and break it, and then so you can have a solution later. And I would definitely say another thing is document. I mean, if I could like literally say document for the next 30 minutes and people were to stick around, I would say that. Documenting your network and your even just Linux, like setting up Linux, even setting up Linux yourself and documenting the process is amazing. You don't have to then constantly sit in a Stack Overflow, a Stack Overflow of fucking rooms, someone calling you a fucking retard for 45 minutes to figure out that, like, oh, it was just something simple that you could have figured out yourself. That is the kind of like the thing. So, where is it? We're going to do an install. No. We can do a pip install. I wonder if pip install will work. Do I have Python, unfortunately, on here? Oh, apt. And the whole point of self-hosting beyond the government reach is you don't have to worry about data breaches. You don't got to worry about big tech. You don't got to worry about all these other people leeching into it. And my problem is people want to self-host, but they want to self-host for other people, or they don't do backups, or they want to open it to the internet because they want access for some fucking unknown reason, and they want to set up a fucking look. If anyone quips this and they just want to play something on repeat, you're not a sysadmin. Don't act like one. You know, I've set up very complicated in the beginning of my self-hosting journey. I set up very complicated stuff. I wanted access wherever the fuck I want. I set up a reverse proxy. I put it on a VLAN, and I fucked up a lot of shit on the way. I set up a Kubernetes cluster. I set up a Kubernetes cluster. That was super overkill for something that I was like really not trying to like. There was nothing I was solving. My solving problem is like I got tired of getting charged money to host to use. I first started using DigitalOcean. I went from DigitalOcean to essentially buying a server and then having a very overcomplicated system. I was getting massive outages. I had problems. Hard drive, I mean, like, you name it. And then I learned how to back up my shit correctly. I also have power outages in my area. I mean, that shit happens anywhere. I don't have two fucking power companies in my neighborhood. Like, I'm not a fucking server data center that has all these redundant systems put in place, because I'm not going to put that kind of money into it, and that'd be retarded to do that on a hosted platform where I'm not hosting other people's data but my own. So that is something to keep in mind. You're not a sysadmin. You're not a data center. Do it for yourself, and quit offering to your friends to host their stuff for them, because they're going to be very pissed when you fuck up. End rant kind of thing. Because when you lose grandma and grandma's fucking shit, you're going to be very upset. So we're going to do pip. Damn it! I hate Python. Retech M. I had to do this on fucking, what do you call it? Void. Because Void Linux and... Void Linux and Python do not get along. And I agree with them because I fucking hate Python. Okay, so we're gonna make a directory called archive box. What if I'll do this? If you want to get in front of your thing, just... Okay. I think that's what I had to do. What is it? No. There we go. Time to break it. Okay, so we do that. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what it is. So you want to do archive box. In it. Says it's not fucking. Make sure you have pip installed. Archive box, and it's available in your path first. Motherfucker. I don't remember archive box being this fucking hard to set up. Maybe I just need to do it Docker. But we tried. Oh. If I do a Docker compose, run oh, maybe that's what it was. I think that's what it was. Next episode is over here. Admin. IP. Oh, that's what it is. I think Damn it. 74. We're gonna have to maybe one. No. Nope. Man, I really can't get this one to work. It's kind of a bitch. Wait, no. This says set up. Dr. Rose run archive box. Motherfuckers. It says it's running. Debut archive box, the one thing I want. I'll get this running, I swear. I just don't know when. The one thing I want to get running. It's so weird. You know what's funny is I got this set up in like my first try. Maybe I'm retarded now. Maybe I've lost brain cells since then. I don't get the fucking super... Why can't you just do a fucking super user in the beginning? Like, I don't get it. So weird. Okay. Minus that blender, and I'll figure that out. Once you do Linux server.io, you kind of want to be able to do Docker file browser. So file browser installation, very easy. Bare Alpine image. What the fuck is this shit? Docker. Super easy. We're gonna create create a Docker Compose YAML file. Ooh. Change some stuff here. Oh, we can just do this. Bear Alpine. Oh, nice. It's based on Alpine. That's kind of cool. There we go. And it should be up by now. Nav drone, forge, but file browser. There we go. It's on 5040. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm in a fucking container. I'm retarded. What is up? What is up with this fucking shit not connecting? Oh, it's 80. And it's unhealthy. Probably something silly too. Cool. Well, I figured that out. Definitely going to update that GitHub repo at some point this week. We're going to discover some Tor stuff then. A lot of thinking. A lot of pee-pee poo-poo is what I would say. And a lot of reading on the internet. That's the important of the internet, is the reading part. Maybe I'll crash out the Linux server and redo it. I would like to vibe code something similar to the Pirate Box. There's a YouTuber that I don't follow per se. But I came across their channel through some stuff, and I was like, oh, intriguing. But they wanted to make a Pirate Box clone, and my box just came in for the portability part, so I could possibly figure something out where I put everything in a box and kind of get it working. Definitely going to get KeyWeeks working. Kiwi, I can. So now that I'm going to separate it and put one server inside its own intranet, I think I could get KeyWeeks working as well. But we'll do some more OPSEC Bible. Not this one. Oh, wait, yes, this one. Operational security mistakes template. This would be kind of like good to go over and find and use and learn. So I'm going to grab some water. All right. Do. So the OPSEC mistake template. Write OPSEC analysis graph to detail what are the gaps in operational security. Why this is important. The reason it's important is to have these articles on OPSEC mistakes so that we can learn from errors in others and avoid committing them ourselves. The underscore of the significant OPSEC guides found in the OPSEC Bible additionally is provided us with means to identify OPSEC mistakes for which is currently no solution covered in the OPSEC Bible, allowing us to continue for improvement. This goes back to documentation. There is something called Wiki.js. Wiki.js, this isn't really like off topic, but this is a powerful, extensible, open source wiki software to make documentation a joy to write using Wiki.js. It's essentially a way to document your entire workflow. And that might be important at some point. This is still very well updated and maintained. Very easy to self-host. Pretty much, it allows you to document everything. Just saying in perspective, one of your best things to do is to document everything. Documentation allows you to not only, again, fix your mistakes, but to solve problems. I mean, I used Obsidian for a long time. And then I used LogSec, and then I went from LogSec to Joplin, and Joplin back to Obsidian. So having that ability is very important. Document everything. I will be coming out with a GitHub repo at some point on essentially that. What my stack is. I think you can write it in Markdown too, which is kind of nice. But we're going to give a minimal example on the OPSEC thing. Explain who, person, group, organization is. Mention details such as name, or origin, affiliation, work, occupation. Assume that the reader doesn't know anything about the person. What are the OPSEC mistakes? Take the reader through how the authors found the thing, step by step. This is the template. Oh wait. Is this good enough? Giant milkers. Okay, so yeah, this is good. Still very actively maintained. Loose lips sink ships. This is like a very old saying. OPSEC, the name of the game. We're running any kind of clan sign operation. If you want to remain anonymous, you have to follow OPSEC operational security rules and procedures. More often than not, we'll see here when operations or individual operations are compromised through OPSEC mistakes. This is somewhat true. Some of the best, most private people you don't even know about. I mean, like, or people that have just a username. I mean, a username doesn't mean anything. If your username is, fat retard or whatever, and it's that username forever, you essentially don't have to really worry about anyone ever correlating if you have very good OPSEC and very little digital footprint. Detection, identification, neutralization. Passive intelligence collection, dragnet tactics, social network investigations, activizations, background checks, surveillance, arrests, prosecutions, kidnapping, and assassinations. From the adversary standpoint, repression requires the following broad steps. Initial detection, someone is doing something we don't like. Identification, who who's those someone's are, neutralization. Make sure they stop doing what they don't like. So, depending on your organization activities, e.g. protest, the initial detection phase can come as soon as you get started. If you are staging protests, the identification is inevitable. So if you are not only just organizing a protest, you have to understand that repressive regimes and authoritarian governments are kind of like the last thing you know about. You could go your entire life thinking that like everything is like hunky-dory, super awesome, super based, super cool. And because you do all of these things, you might initially not know that you're under aka a repressive regime. Then you start getting some ideas, and then you start having dissatisfaction with the government. And because you have a dissatisfaction with the government, you're dissatisfied with the government or the current administration, you kind of have to do these things in order to show your dissatisfaction with the government. Not everything is voting, even though I think voting is important and you should vote, regardless of people's opinion on voting, whether they should or shouldn't. I think people should and they ought to vote. Not everything voting on a national election may not matter, but maybe on a local level might matter more or less. So keep that in mind. So when you're going to these protests, you kind of need a good guide on how to be efficient. There is something called a stingray. This is very common. And if you don't know what a stingray is, we're going to learn real quick. The EFF made something very cool to pretty much capture these. So, stingrays are known as an IMSI catcher. It's a device used by law enforcement to mimic a cell tower, tricking nearby mobile phones to connect into it. This allows the operator to collect data such as the phone's location, unique identifiers like the International Mobile Subscriber Identity, IMSI, without needing cooperation from cellular service providers. So keep that in mind when you're attending these protests. You should probably not even bring a cell phone, but if you do, make sure that it is offline. You are cutting off all services, whether it be anything pretty much besides Bluetooth, and that it has no ties or connection to you. There is no such thing as a burner phone, though. You have to keep that into perspective. You live in countries where pretty much people, again, have not just terrible OPSEC, they're required to give over a lot of information. So think about your local government and what is required and what isn't required to obtain any of this information, aka a private number, etc., etc. And I might go down, I might do a video at some time and point. I pile up my videos so that I can release them and not have to make a ton at a different time, and I kind of like do my release schedules. To be as productive as possible or whatever. What does good OPSEC look like? If you're an activist, themselves must remain clandestine. OPSEC rules are procedures that can help reduce your profile and make it less likely that your activity will be identified properly. Your identity must remain neutral. If everyone looks the same at a protest and you all look the same and you all act the same, you essentially don't have to worry as much because it's going to be glossed over. You're going to be kind of like glossed over. They're going to be like, oh, it's just XYZ. We don't give a fuck. It's just John Doe. The quicker you are to identify, the faster your other lines of defense must come into play. If you are a novice clandestine OPSEC, it's likely that you still have stuff to learn in order to be safe. If your activities are quick to identify, that's even less time available to actually get better at survival. Extortionist, Z-Kill. Julius Z-Kill Kavmaki extorted a Finnish online psychotherapy service, threatening them with the release of patient data, therapy notes among them, while preparing a data package for the release. He mistyped the tar command, and instead of releasing the pilfered data, also released the entire content of his home directly, helping investigators identify him. That way, he managed to speedrun both initial detection and identification. What a champ. So he essentially made a fat oopsie daisy. Instead of releasing the file, he did a tar command that released his entire home directory, which helped identify him. Even your home directory can help identify you. Your home directory might be unique versus somebody else's. Just like when people buy a house or something, they show their key in a picture that is unique and people can copy it. Just, FYI. So you always have to keep that in mind. The U.S. DoD, Department of Defense, made several OPSEC mistakes, allowing investigators to link his public and clandestine personas. Sam Bile on a public and clandestine Twitter accounts shared with an Instagram account as well. Instagram account mentioned by a tattoo artist, a SoundCloud profile with his public identity and pictures of his face. The pictures were the same used on a Medium blog, allowing for trivial linking. The Medium blog contained a post about an alien Vault Pulse, a cyber threat intelligence report, mentioning the same pseudonym used in the Instagram account. Associated Gravtar account with the Instagram pseudonym and pictures of his face. Gravtar linked email publicly associated with. It's always fucking email, I swear to God. GitHub accounts, TV time, linked data from HackerForum, used a username LLTV. It's associated with publication, leaked data, shared pseudonyms with Reddit user LLTV, mentioned in his Medium blog. This is something very trivial, not even trivial, this is something very easy to avoid. Make all your usernames the fucking same, but make them generic. Make it the most generic username on the fucking planet. Make it super fucking generic. Or have different usernames every step of the way. It's either make it so generic that no one's going to be able to correlate it to you. If you make your username, Stick Fighter, all across, but it's never been associated with like your identity, it's not really that easy to track down Stick Fighter. Stick Fighter might be, that might be 20 million accounts. So, oh no, there's 20 million people with the nickname Stick Fighter. Or you make each one unique in its own, so there's no linking, there's no correlation. I mean, there's other ways to link you, but it's just one piece of the puzzle that's less stepped. So darknet market administrators, honorable mentions are Pharaoh, intimate for details for troubleshooting his services after it went down, FBI seizure using Google with his personal email account. Page 30 of the document. He used the same account also conducted to develop research. What a silly thing to do. OPSEC mistakes, buggling the weight and balance of smuggling ships so much that it caused courses became erratic and attracted attention. Outcome: seizures of the ship and its $32 million worth of cargo. Arrest the crew members. Zekiel. Lack of operational segregation. There is no valid reason to having personal information on the same machine as the one you use to manipulate. Yeah, use a separate machine. Just have a separate machine that you pay with in cash. This isn't just like operational security to do illegal things. This is just how you should operate in general. This is why CubesOS is so efficient at what it does. CubesOS allows you to compartmentalize everything to the T, whether it be your network stack, your USB stack, all the way down to your virtual machines. Your virtual machines should have no correlation to each other. Now, if you want to be mega super schizophrenic, you just use Tails. Tails is super easy. Tails is super easy to set up. Tails is super easy to maintain. You can have persistent storage if you want. You don't necessarily have to. There's other ways you can transport sensitive information in between. Make sure you use encryption. But if you're going to use persistent, make sure that it's uncrackable and use something like Buzzkill that will attach the USB drive to the wire. If that wire gets severed, it will kill Tails immediately and everything will be wiped. There is some theory that Lars Ulbrich, if he would have had something similar to rip away his USB drive, because I think they were using Tails as well, that maybe he would have never been arrested. Hard to tell. So, whether you're doing illegal activity or you're not doing illegal activity, you should always compartmentalize everything. There is some services out there that kind of do this. There's one's called Cloak. It's supposed to give you a different number each time in order to hand out to people. They kind of do an interesting service. It's perspective, but then you're trusting Cloak. Arrest and conviction 6 years. USD OPSEC mistakes too many to count in this section. Yeah, the United States Department of Defense has done a lot of bad OPSEC mistakes. I mean, they bombed like a drug cartel, like kind of botched it, kind of lame. So let's look at the checklist. The standardization of operating procedures for your organization provide a framework. General operations, what communication channels to use, the use of encryption, code words, passphrases, channel structure, full mesh, more danger if one participant is compromised, clandestine cell structure, more resilient but also makes communications more costly, clandestine, communication plan for each member, pace model. If one communication channel is cut or compromised, there are fallback solutions that have already been investigated and whose risk level have been deemed acceptable. Specific action, SOPs, EGA protest, initial assembly point, time, date, means transportation, ingress, material required, initial sourcing. So this is something that I would actually take into consideration when you look at operational security. Hacker named Wormer inflated by government sites. If you go into let's just do a notepad. Easiest way. So if you look at operational security, it's actually super simple to understand. First, you have to have a plan. And these are like kind of like easy to do in those. Have a plan. Have a backup plan. Rely on he who relies on encryption is based. So like you want to rely on encryption, and there's a few more things. First, you want to rely on encryption. Next, you want to make sure there is a severance, more of like a severed from online versus and / IRL. You want to make sure there's a severed from online and IRL. Like you want your IRL and online to be completely separate. You want to sever pay from IRL and online. So like not only don't use Gmail, but also don't use email everywhere. And because you don't want to use these don't use email everywhere, don't use number everywhere, don't use XYZ everywhere. You want to be as severed as possible. If you make a username bagadicks@gmail.com and you use another email address, that same email address somewhere else, it's just a linking factor and it correlates you much easier. You should use private, quote unquote, private emails that require little to no registration, that's owned by a small, uncaring, unrestricted company. And the reason is Google's, at the end of the day, will kneel to the government and its predecessors in order to stay in business. And because it does all these things to stay in business, you want to try to do your research on places where the server hosting you want to pick providers that maybe don't have jurisdiction in the United States. Does it have compliance laws? Who owns like XYZ? And like pretty much don't use Gmail, but also don't use anywhere else. Use fake names. Make up information. Take that information and clog the internet. Like you want to, I would say, clog the internet with fake information. Even your typing allows some form of correlation to you. Typing typing, the way you talk, can have metadata. Can have metadata correlated to you. What is it? This is how simple it is. And this may seem a little silly. 3 million people in New York City can speak with a New York accent, but the numbers can vary as accents above change over time. The accent is most commonly associated with the city's diverse population and cultural history. Just 3 million people. Say like 3 million people talk like they're from New York. That in itself is a data point. You have to understand that. Damn it. Okay, so there is something called OSINT that will lead to you, and we're kind of like back to the same point, is a OSINT is pretty much operational investigation. Like OSINT is huge. Open source intelligent framework is kind of massive. And because you have this open source intelligent framework, you can correlate people by username, email address. This is just simple. This is like the free shit. Domain name. So if you use the same email in everything, if you use the same common email format, if you use the same, if you have breached data out there, that can kind of correlate you. You have to, again, have a realistic scenario where you might be exposed. So you kind of got to do it the right way every single time, if you care. If you don't care, whatever. What does good OPSAT look like? Let's talk about Operation Delago. A major CSAM sharing and production group was infiltrated in a joint operation conducted by 19 countries. This group countered more than 600 members that had strict operational security. periodic platform change, new hidden service, which with each platform change, all users will change their pseudonyms and receive new randomly generated ones. So generating a random new pseudonym is optimal. It's a great choice. It's a good option because it's harder to shift through 500 fucking usernames and figure out which one is correlated to you. A required use of GNU PGP for encrypted communications, also based, if you know how to use PGP properly, that is a good thing. Never share personal information. Obviously, that is the best option. Strict metadata scrubbing policies on all shared media. Some of the best people with good OPSEC made oopsie daisies and didn't scrub the metadata. Only share media over the trusted web channels. The neutralization operation, after infiltrating a group, law enforcement managed to trick several users into directly sharing media and personal information of other unsanctioned channels without encryption. Final tally, 72 charged out of 600 active members, 57 arrest. That's pretty good odds. Not that it's great. The 72 people are retarded and made an oopsie daisy, 57 arrests, another 57 retards making 57 oopsie daisies. But we're all human. We make mistakes. But you don't want to make mistakes in this kind of industry. You want to make zero mistakes. Remember, law enforcement can make unlimited amount of mistakes. You can only make one mistake. And you never want to make one mistake. OPSEC works. Even if the scum of the earth, 9.5% neutralization rate after being infiltrated of a joint between 12 countries is pretty impressive. That is an impressive foot, I will say. Out of 600 people, 72 retards got charged, 57 arrests happened. That is impressive. Don't be 57 or 72 versions of these retards. You literally need to be on point with your operational security. And I know, again, being a dead horse, you need to make sure that you're not making any mistakes in between. This is why you should probably use Monero with forms of payment. Now let's take a look at WellSec. We have pretty much every OPSEC mistake rolled into one burrito of disappointment. We all use the analytics framework we worked with. WellSec, Low Security, was a high-profile hacker group in 2011 known for brazen cybersecurity attacks on corporations, governments, and media. One of their members, Sabu, was identified, turned and then used to compromise the rest of the group. That one's easy. Between the defamation and bragging all over the web about hacks and operations were meant to be visible. I think this was the guy that pretty much was telling women he had a ton of money and he was posting on Google Maps or some dumb shit in order to flex. Sabu was identified after logging into an IRC from his home IP address. You were in WellSec, right? No, never. I would never commit crime. Crime bad, United States good. Right. Yeah, remember, I'm too retarded to be a hacker. Members reused online aliases. He logged into an IRC from his home IP instead of through Tor. It only happened once, but it was enough. Members reused online aliases across multiple platforms. For example, some had past activity linked to their. Remember, it's always decrypt now. Store now, decrypt later, all the time. It doesn't matter. Store now, decrypt later. Very simple thing to understand. That's the important part. Okay. Email addresses were used for domains to access their account were linked to real-life identities. Boasting about hacks and providing technical details exposed them. There was a minimal effort to isolate real identities from online personas and separate operations between different members. Many used the same machine for both personal and hacking activities. What a fucking retard move, by the way. They also gave law enforcement leads to correlate timing between attacks and online activity. There is, I think, what do you call it? What the fuck's the name? Debian's Unix does an encrypted form, or like it makes every user have the same time, like time sync, in order to prevent this. So everyone kind of looks like they're doing the same activity from the same time zone. So that can that can kind of make it easier and for you and harder for the attacker. So make sure that you know that your clock alone can fuck up your day. Use of a non-anonymized RSC client known as VPN services, unencrypted communication channels, and made traffic analysis easier. They also gave law enforcement leads to correlating time between activity. Threat modeling, choose the right tool for the right job. What is threat model? Their goals, capabilities, and targets. We now have a simple framework detection. We have seen, depending on the situation, you might need higher or lower security measures. E-Corp, Evil Corp Threat Model. Goals, preventing disruption in the operations of protesters, preventing PR fallout from the evil experiments become public knowledge, capabilities, technology low, as they tried to intrude methods of physically telling people throwing bricks through their windows. So risk analysis. This is another thing. Next step is risk to run a risk analysis. If you want to list all your assets, pretty much kind of do that. Member list and contact info, confidentiality requirements. The kind of problem with confidentiality reports is you have to kind of trust everyone that they won't pretty much become a snitch to you. And if you can entrust that everyone will not become a snitch, you're kind of lucky. But you don't really know that. That's why it's better to keep your identity as private as possible. Even if you have to use a fake profile, even if you have to kind of like just lie through everything, there's nothing wrong with that. No one gets hurt from you lying, as long as you're not like, cheating on your wife or anything, or like some crazy shit. Standards and procedures. Anti-surveillance and counter-surveillance techniques to identify whether members are getting tailed after meeting or protests. Encryption on her laptop, automatic shutdown if someone grabs it, hardening the email server. Know when to stop. Why isn't she preparing a large-scale hacking campaign against her identities, following with a zero-day barrage of all of her services, complete compromise of her household appliances down to the lowest air tag? Because it does not fit the threat model. It would be easier and more cost-effective to break into her house and grab her stuff, especially if her machine is unencrypted. That is something to be completely clear about. Simple and easy to understand. Encrypt everything. Use Lux to encrypt everything. Encrypt your communications. Super easy to do. Use Signal. Use Session. Use SimpleX, because Session is deciding not to be a giant pile of shit. That's kind of like where it really like kind of stems from. Use common sense by not handing out personal information and not correlating, reusing the same email, reusing the same usernames, and encrypt everything. I think OPSEC could really be boiled down to that in a nutshell. Make sure that you are not reusing emails, not reusing identities, not revealing public information. Fake the information if you want to. Like, if you're going to fake it, that's probably more efficient than anything. Like, tell people you're fucking, you're on the carnivore diet and you love shitting and farting. That's pretty common. And your favorite color is red. Or your favorite color is blue. Or your favorite color is blurple. Or shit, like, just make up a profile. I mean, that's like the easiest thing to do. A threat model is a living thing, like any GRC, governance, risk, and compliance document. Your adversaries will change in capabilities, motivations, and methods as time will pass. Your organization will change too, adopting new tools, forsaking old ones. In order to stay safe, you need to keep your threat model and risk analysis up to date. That is probably the best advice possible, is to keep your shit up to date. Adapt, overcome, and overanalyze. Or underanalyze to overcome. So it's more important than anything to have a real expectation with like your OPSEC, and this is a good privacy anonymity deniability. Sensitive use, you are able to deny any implication. Anonymous use, you are indistinguishable from other users. That's kind of like a given. Decentralized use, you are in control of the service you use. Private use, you know the software you are using that isn't spying on you. Transparent use, you know what software you're pretty much doing. And public use, you are under surveillance while using the internet. Even if you're under surveillance, it doesn't really matter as long as you have good OPSEC. Because again, you could be completely and utterly just a normal person. And I want people to take this information and do whatever they want at their disposal, because at the end of the day, your security is up to you. Now, most importantly, I appreciate everyone coming into the stream. I will be back in another one, and don't forget to feed your snail. And also, don't forget to argue in the comments what your favorite season is. If you don't say fall, kind of suck. Much appreciation. I will see you guys in the next